Hey guys, welcome back to another demo video. What I want to do in this video is demonstrate how to put together an income statement. I want to walk through every step from how we format the Excel spreadsheet, what accounts we use, how it's calculated. Pay very close attention to the formatting, what's indented, what's not indented, where calculations are made, and things like that. Okay, so what I did was I just literally went to our book and pulled out a trial balance, and we're just going to use this to kind of go ahead and prepare our income statement. Now, the first thing we want to do is make sure it's in proper form. Okay, that means it has to have a heading, right? In the heading, we have to have the company name, the name of the financial statement, and the time period that that financial statement covers. So, I'm going to go in Excel, which we already have up. I already have some information over here. What I'm going to do is I want to select A1 or cell reference A1, and I want to come over just an arbitrary number. 5 looks good to me, so I'm coming over 5 columns. And I want to merge and center these, okay? So my first row with 5 columns is all merged and centered. I want to get my small crosshairs and I want to drag it down 1, 2. Okay, so I have 3 rows at the top of this income statement. Now, I just pulled out some numbers from the book, so I'm going to kind of create this as I go. But step number 1 is we need the company name. Okay? Usually helps if you can spell too. Okay, company name. It could be anything. Acme Corporation, Joe Schmo's Donut Shop, whatever. It doesn't matter. The name of the company always has to be at the top. In the middle, we put the name of the financial statement. So we're doing the income statement. So I'm going to type in income statement. Now the third row dictates the third row is where our time goes. Okay. Keep in mind that the income statement is more than a snapshot, right? The income statement is kind of like a video, meaning it covers a certain period of time, okay? So it could be a month, it could be a quarter, it could be a year, whatever. For our example, I'm going to say for the year ended December 31st, 2018, okay? It could be, you could see, it could be for the month ended, October 31st, 2020, or it could be for a quarter, right? For the quarter ended, or for the first quarter ended March 31st, 2008. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to list our revenues. Okay, so what I'm going to do to make everything look nice and neat, I'm going to come over 3 rows. Okay, and I'm going to merge and center, left align. Okay, and I'm going to scroll down just an arbitrary amount just to make sure that I have enough to put all these accounts in here. Okay. So we look at our trial balance and we see that the first thing we have is revenues. Okay. Specifically, we have service revenue. So I'm going to type that in. And I'm going to type in our service revenue amount. The revenue in this example is $95,000. Okay. Now, if you look at this $95,000, it doesn't look right. It doesn't look nice, right? It's not easy to read. So I'm going to come over to my ribbon and I'm going to click on comma styles and get rid of the decimal places. Okay, so that's my revenues. Now let's just say, for the sake of argument, that we also have rent revenues as well, or we have another revenue stream. Okay, I know it's not on here. I just pulled this as sort of an example, but I'm going to go ahead and add rent revenue. Okay, very important that you pull out what it says. Okay, I'm just trying to put enough information in here to give you an example. So in your exam or in your problems, if we don't have rent revenue, you don't put it in. Okay, you only put in what's on the trial balance. Okay, I'm adding something because I want to show you how to format this. So let's just say our rent revenue, well, let's just say it's $95,000. Okay, then you want to total out your revenues. Okay, so we want to have a subtotal here. We want to have a subtotal here. Okay, I'm going to indent. How do I indent? Well, I come next to the merge and center button. To the left of that is increase indent. I'm going to hit it once. And I'm going to type in total revenue. Okay. Now, I'm going to auto sum. And I get 190,000. If you leave it like this, I'll deduct the point. Here's why. We need to show that we did some sort of mathematical calculation here. In order to demonstrate that we've done a mathematical calculation, I'm going to put in my bottom border, okay? Bottom border. It's right underneath our font box, bottom border. So by looking at this, this gives us much more detail, and it says, oh, okay, 95 plus 95 gives us 190. That must be their total revenues, okay? The next thing we're going to do is I'm going to type in expenses, okay? Each of these expenses should be indented, okay? So I'm going to indent once, and I'm going to look for my first expense. Well, I see here that the first expense, as I'm coming down the row, the aisle here, or the column, is salaries and wages expense. So I'm going to type it in. And notice that I have two columns here, right? I have column E and column D, okay? Column E is going to hold my revenues and my total column. Total, or column D, I'm going to use as a subcolumn, meaning I'm going to list all my expenses, and then I'm going to put the total over here in column E. Let me demonstrate. So salaries and wages expense in our example here looks like it's $42,000. The next expense we have looks like utilities. Again, make sure you indent. And utilities expense in our example is $3,000. Okay? All right. Now, as I quickly scroll over this, it doesn't look like we have any other expenses, right? Salaries and wages expense, utilities expense. But we know that a company could have a lot more expenses. So, even though they're not on here, I'm just going to add a couple just to make it look a little bit more, so it has, more to it, right? So I'm going to indent. Well, we know a company's going to have depreciation expense. And we'll just say it's $5,000. Okay. And then What advertising expense too? Companies usually have advertising expenses. Advertising expense, and we'll just say it's $1,500. Okay. Now, keep in mind these last two I just added just to make the income statement look a little more bulkier. Okay. Again, I can't stress this enough. If we don't use the account in our trial balance, we do not put it on the income statement. So you should never see accounts, revenue accounts or expense accounts, that have zeros on the income statement. Okay? So I need to total these expense columns up. Here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to put my bottom border right here underneath advertising expenses. Okay? And then I'm going to add all my expenses. I'm going to click auto sum, and I'm just going to click and drag over where my expense data is. Click enter, and I got $51,500. Okay. Now, to figure out net income or net loss, I take my revenues and I subtract my expenses. I get $138,500. Okay. If you left it like this, it would not be in proper form. Why? Well, number one, we just did a mathematical function here, right? We took 190,000, we subtracted 51,500. So I need to put in a bottom border, okay? I need to put my net income line in. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to increase the indent twice on the net income line. So I'm going to come up to my increase indent. I'm going to hit it once. I'm going to hit it again. And now I'm going to type net income. Okay? Not done yet. I'm not done because I still need to add a little bit more, some lines to it. Remember, when we foot a column, it has to have a double underline underneath it. Okay? That tells us that, hey, we've stopped calculating this column. Okay? To get that, I'm going to click on my net income amount. I'm going to click my borders. I'm going to come all the way down. And look what it says here. Top and double bottom border. That's what I need. I click on it. Now we see it's in proper form. Okay? So thanks for tuning in. I hope this was beneficial for you. Again, keep in mind we need to put in our borders or our bottom borders whenever we're doing a mathematical function. And then whenever we get to the bottom, to our net income or our net loss, it doesn't matter. We need to foot that column with a double bottom border saying we're done calculating in this column. Okay? If you have any questions, please feel free to shoot me a text. Love to discuss this if you have more questions. Thanks, and have a great night.